The last week we kicked off Rocktober, the month of October, where we get to rock our finances and rock this idea of prosperity and abundance in our lives. So we're looking at this book, Busting Loose from the Money Game, this month, and today's topic is busting loose. So we're going to get into it. Last week, we started by looking at the rules of the money game as defined in this book. It's those ideas that are kind of held in the collective that perhaps may be affecting our experience of money and prosperity if we have bought into those ideas. And the thing is that they're all around us, so it's very easy to have those ideas be a part of our awareness or our subconscious unless we choose to wake up and to be conscious about what no longer serves and what we want to envision and embody and believe instead. So we looked at this idea that the universe is infinite. It is pure potentiality. And we invited you to notice, what is your current relationship with money, with finances? And start to unravel some of those myths or rules or beliefs that you may have about money and where you might be caught up in this money game. So this week we're going to break it down a little bit more, and we're going to explore some practices to assist us in opening up to that natural flow of abundance and bust loose from this game. You ready to dive in? Yes. Let's try that again. Are you ready to dive in? Yes. Okay, now you're with me. So here's the thing. Abundance just is. It is who you are. It's not something outside of you that you have to get. Abundance is our natural state. And as the quantum physics now call the field, they say the field equals unlimited power and infinite possibility. So truly, there is no out there, because there is only this field of pure potentiality where we live and move and have our very being. So money isn't something outside of us. In fact, everything we experience comes from within. It lives in this field of pure potentiality. And then as we began to focus our attention on a specific pattern and energize that pattern and observe it as such, it collapses into a specific form. I'm not going to do a whole lecture on quantum physics. There are experts in the field that you can look into, so this is just a little touching on that idea, but right? So everything exists in all possibilities until it collapses into a specific form. And how it does that is through our own experience of what we focus on and those patterns that we are creating in our own mind, in our own lives, through our thoughts, beliefs, our consciousness, that then become the form of our experience. So this field of infinite potentiality is the true source of everything we experience. Call it the field, call it life, call it God, call it source energy. There are many names, from scientific to religion and spirituality, the universe. But if you look at all these different ways of defining this one life, you will find it is describing the same thing, this infinite source. So what does this mean in a very practical way for our lives, right? Well, it points to the fact that we create our experience from this invisible realm, or what we may call consciousness. Consciousness is our first cause. And what the mystics have taught us for generations, and what quantum physics are now proving and showing us now, is that consciousness creates our perception of reality. So let's break this down even more. What is consciousness? Well, our consciousness are our set of thoughts and beliefs that we energize through repeated patterns and through our habits. If you want to know why your life looks the way it does, one place to start is to notice, what are your habitual thought patterns? What are those things that you are energizing with your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts? And to make it even more practical, money is a great way to kind of experiment and play in this thing called the creative process by looking at what are the beliefs you have about money. So when we begin to notice and pay attention to these rules of the so-called money game, as referred to in this book, we can become aware of what is at play in our lives, and then we can begin to allow those structures of beliefs and patterns that no longer serve to crumble and begin to build new thought patterns from a place of conscious awareness. So how do we break loose from this money game that's so everywhere that we see and seems so real, right? Well, we have to bust those myths about money and break free at the level of our consciousness and awareness first. So here's the good news. It can happen like this. How many of you have ever seen a building being purposely demolished? Maybe on TV if you haven't in real life, right? And it can happen that there's this, no matter how tall, beautiful, strong foundation structure that collapses within seconds, if not minutes, right? And how this is because they have strategically placed the explosive detonator little devices in strategic places of the foundation of this building. And then on the press of a button, it collapses. So is the same with our consciousness, our belief system, our minds. Because that building, although a foundation has been laid and took, months, if not years, to build this structure, is demolished within seconds. Our life is building those beliefs and those thoughts to create a structure which then forms the reality that we experience in our life. But when we wake up and realize that this thing is not quite so solid as it seems, and we can very strategically place these ideas that no longer serve us, and then realize that they don't have the power, it all crumbles. The structures, the systems that no longer serve us as a collective or individually, we begin to break it down by noticing those beliefs and no longer giving them any energy or power. So, let's make this even more practical. Abundance, when we start to realize that abundance is who we are, right? And we say these things, we have our affirmations, we do our spiritual practices. What will happen is that anything unlike this truth will suddenly come up in your face and give you a reminder or an example of something that you believe in as a demonstration in form, something that you believe in that no longer resonates with this vibration of abundance that you are calling forth to recognize in your life. And when that happens, all these things unlike the truth show up, and that could be a very perhaps scary time. It could be a time, it's a very fragile time, I would say. Because what can happen then is we could either be taken out by the game, by what appears to be real as all these things start popping up, or we can remain awake and aware and start to see, oh, this doesn't match with who I am today. There is no longer a vibrational resonance with the truth of my being, and so this idea is popping up so I can transform it and let go of it, and it will crumble. So we get to be strategic in waking up to the rules that we bought into, this rules of the game and the beliefs that are at play in our life. And then we are free. We are free from this outside structure that has been created and formed when we work in the level, in the realm of consciousness. And remember that abundance is our birthright. The truth is that the universe is pure abundance, and that is who we are. So when we wake up to this awareness that we are one with all, the beliefs of the past that no longer serve us begin to fall away as we no longer give them any power. So are you ready to not only deconstruct your belief system, but to totally demolish those old patterns of lack and limitation? If so, let's talk a little bit more about how. So one of the most powerful practices to bust loose from this money game is appreciation. Appreciation, gratitude. Because what we appreciate, appreciates. Isn't that just a fun little thing? I love when words work out like that, right? So what we appreciate, appreciates. And we see evidence of this in all aspects of our lives, right? Like what we give our energy to, what we give our love to, just in a relationship. If we honor it and nurture it and express appreciation and gratitude to those that we love, those relationships flourish. So is the same in all aspects of our life, even our finances. When it's time to go and pay a bill, pay attention. What would it look like to do so consciously from a place of abundance and appreciation? So for example, instead of thoughts of, I got to pay this bill again, or wish I didn't have so many bills, or, whatever the feeling may be, right? Notice if you're coming from a place of lack or scarcity around those things, what would it be like to switch that thought to, instead of, I wish I didn't have so many bills, to, I am so grateful that I get to pay this bill, and focus on what the money is for. What does it bring into your life? What is the good that you are experiencing from what you are looking at instead of a bill, that you get to appreciate what is coming into your life? And as you begin to appreciate what the money is for and how it benefits you and how you get to circulate, circulate money in your life in a very conscious way, this is a very powerful practice where you get to take back your power and stand in the truth of infinite abundance of who you are, and move into a feeling of gratitude for how you get to circulate your money. The simple moving from I have to the wording of I get to is a huge game changer right there. Not just in your finances, but in all the things you do. Imagine if you were to look at it as, I get to whatever it is. Go to work, go to Ahava, spend time with my friends, right? I get to. So in chapter 10 of the Busting Loose game, the author provides us some framework to reframe and retrain our mind towards appreciation. So this may seem a little silly, but I'm going to read this. So he says, instead of using the term the bill, what if we were to think of it and call it the request for appreciation? Instead of price, what if it was requested expression of appreciation? How much? What is the requested appreciation for this creation? Instead of payment, it is an expression of appreciation. You hearing a theme? So, it's not necessarily that you're going to be out with some friends that have no idea what this book is all about and say, may I please have, may I request the appreciation for this today? But in your own mind, start to reframe your thoughts. And even though you're still using words like, how much does this cost? In your mind, you're starting to think like, what is the requested appreciation for this? And begin to work at it from an energetic level of appreciating how you get to circulate and move your money in your life. Take a deep breath now as we move into the next practice to support us in busting loose of the money game, and that is the practice of tithing. So this is really the master's level course in faith, right? It will support you in destroying the lie of separation and lack and limitation. Now, often just saying the word tithe can cause a little, so keep breathing. There's all sorts of emotional reactions that come up around this concept, such as fear or lack or shame or judgment. You know, there they go again, talking about tithing at church. They just want my money. These are some ideas that live in the collective around this. But I'm here to tell you what we are talking about at Ahava is the true purpose of tithing, which is not to build churches and faith communities or to pay ministers' salary, although that is practically what some of the money goes for, to that and other good things that communities do. But the true purpose of tithing is to acknowledge that Spirit is our source. Spirit is the source of all our good, and that we are aware and grateful for this good. So our intention here at Ahava is to share this practice with you because we as the spiritual leaders of this community all practice tithing, including our practitioners, and we have experienced breakthroughs that come when confronting the fear of lack and limitation by remembering that God, life source, is the very source and substance of all of our supply. And that we can't outgive an unlimited source. It's impossible. So we open to the flow through this practice of tithing and lean into the knowing that we will always be provided for. So what exactly is tithing? Well, the origins date back to the ancient cultures where they would replant 10% of the crops that they would come from the harvest in thanks and gratitude to the heavens and the earth, to God. And in celebration of this generosity and giving thanks for Mother Earth and what she has provided, this practice cultivates genuine reciprocity and faith and trust in acknowledging and appreciating God and Spirit as our source, and affirming that we live in an infinite universe and that there will always be enough. So tithing is a powerful act of gratitude and thanksgiving for what we have already received. And it's a faith and a belief in knowing that as we give, we are circulating that. What we appreciate appreciates. It's a spiritual practice of circulation. And it literally means 10%, right? A tenth. A tithe is a tenth. And so individuals who say they practice tithing give 10% of their gross income where they are spiritually fed. It's this way of giving back to the Spirit for the life that and the good that is coming to us. And percentage giving is an opportunity to start where you are and begin to practice this in a way that stretches you. So percentage giving is taking a percent that is comfortable to you and then stretching it a little bit. So perhaps 5% feels comfortable. Okay, I'm going to stretch and I'm going to practice giving 7% of what comes in back to where I am spiritually fed. And what this does as a practice also allows you, requires really, you to be very conscious about your flow of money. You get to pay attention and notice and appreciate everything that comes in, because then you're doing the math to figure out then what you're going to circulate back. So it makes you really related to that flow as well, and being very conscious and prayerful around giving back in this flow through this practice of tithing or percentage giving. And so tithing is about living in the flow of life. It's giving and receiving in an unending, eternal circle of wholeness. Let me say that again. In an unending, eternal circle of wholeness. So again, it all resides within this field of pure potentiality of wholeness that we are. So we're not giving to anything outside of us in order to get from something outside of us. It's a practice of recognizing and being grateful for all that we have and all that we are. It's about faith, and it's about the knowingness of life itself will meet every need and fulfill every desire. Eric Butterworth says, the receiving is in the same stream as the giving. I love that idea because water, right, is such a great example of this idea of flow. So when I read that, I picture like swimming in this stream, right? So the receiving is in the same stream as the giving. It's all right there. So although tithing can be a loaded subject for some, it's simply a practice of giving and receiving and recognizing the true abundant nature of the universe. There is no God in the sky that's going to be displeased if you don't tithe. There is no universe that's going to punish you if you don't. You just won't experience the benefits of this spiritual practice unless you consciously choose to begin to participate in the practice. Just like anything, like meditation or yoga. You won't experience the benefit of those practices unless you participate. So it's an opportunity to expand your consciousness and open to the flow of money in a way that not only busts you loose from the money game, from the idea of there's not enough or there's a limited amount. It will bust you loose from this idea and will also uplift the world through the good works that we get to do as we circulate our money through this spiritual community and what we get to be and show up for as our greater community. So the question is, are you willing to trust the infinite flow of good, knowing that there is more than enough? Because the universe isn't pie. If you slice it and give a piece away, there's not something missing. The universe is this holographic, infinite field of pure potentiality, of wholeness that we live in. And then we get to joyfully release the flow of energy, allow it to move through us just like any energy moves through us. We get to joyfully release it in the form of money, knowing that the source of life will never run dry. So I invite you, if you're with me, to repeat after me some of these affirmations that are in this book as his process to bust loose. Right? So these are affirmations, and we can, give them to you on the chat as well. But these affirmations will really allow you, when you feel confronted by one of those beliefs, this is kind of like those little detonator, I don't know what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about, when the building collapses. So this is like applying one of those pieces of dynamite and busting, demolishing those old ideas. All right, so I invite you to say it with feeling. Take a breath. You might want to move your body a little bit. Get that energy going because we really want to energize this. All right, so I'll say it and you can say it after me. I am the power and presence of God. I am the power and presence of God. There is no power out there. I am in infinite abundance right here. And right now. I experience infinite feelings of love and appreciation. I experience infinite feelings of love and appreciation. I have an infinite supply of money to express appreciation with. Right here, right now. Let's do that last one again. I have an infinite supply of money to express appreciation with. right here, right now. Yes. So whenever you begin to bump up against those old beliefs, you can reclaim your power by affirming the truth. This is the practice and the process to bust loose of the money game. So your invitation this week is to become conscious of the flow of money in your life and appreciate the ways that you get to give and share of this good. And remember that the universe always responds to your energy and your thoughts and your beliefs. That aspect of the universe that is the law always says yes. So we get to expand our thinking in order to open up to more and more flow of good in our lives. By practicing these things that might stretch us a little bit, but we're stretching our capacity to receive. At the same time, we are stretching our willingness to give. They're in the same flow. Yes. So I invite you to consider saying yes to Ahava as your spiritual home, as that place that fills you up spiritually, where you are fed, by making a pledge for 2023. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit through our committed giving program. Or jump into this divine experiment that we are doing called unexpected or extra income. It's a fun way to play and to grow together in this thing called life. So let's pray, shall we? Taking a nice deep breath. Recognizing the one life as the source and substance of all life. I know that this universal presence, this cosmic isness, is pure abundance, is prosperity, is lavish opulence. That this one life is this field of pure possibility and potentiality where all things reside. And I know that this is the very truth of who I am. I know that I live and move and have my being in this very field of source energy. That I live in this world of infinite potential. And I know that abundance is my birthright. For it is who I am and how I get to express and know myself more fully, as spirit gets to know itself more fully through all that I do and be and become and share and give and love and appreciate. I know that I am fully sourced for all my needs and desires, with an abundance of flow to share and to spare. For I know that I can not outgive the infinite source of life. So I joyfully participate in this law of circulation, so grateful to consciously give and get to give and share of this flow of the good in my life, remaining open to receive as well as give. Knowing that it is all part of the wholeness of life, this giving and receiving, this law of circulation is activated in my life right here, right now. I feel grateful, so grateful for all the good in my life. I know that prosperity is demonstrated as health, as wealth, as loving relationships, as creativity, as all aspects of my life working in flow and in harmony. As I claim and know this truth and reclaim my power, knowing that I am one with the infinite. So with great gratitude now, I simply release this word with conscious intention into the action of the law that says, yes, 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 my beloved, it is done, and it is so. And so it is.